This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you?
Boring. 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 Boring.
You got it work. Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
That's exactly what you're doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
I call again for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, the return of the sausages, the hostages.
Welcome again to Lemberdobic Live here on Unprecedented TV, where we find the facts, kill the spin, and tell it like it is as best we can. I always remember when Keir Starmer, our Prime Minister, said, return of the sausages. That's a bit ironic considering the situation, but we'll leave that aside. Today, there's no irony in what we're discussing. We're discussing the inevitable rise, it seems to me, of Reform UK. Why inevitable? Because the Conservatives, the Labour Party and the Lib Dems have become one party, the uni party, and they offer almost nothing on the key issues. Wokeness, gender politics, Ukraine, and the big one for me, the environmental crisis, the climate emergency, which doesn't exist. Well, there's one party, one kid on the block, which does challenge that and many other perspectives. That's Reform UK. You will know that I'm fairly sympathetic to them because they seem to be a breath of fresh air, an ounce of common sense in a weightless environment of nonsense in British politics. That doesn't define unprecedented, but I have to say that we try to keep to the facts and kill that spin as much as we can. And as a result, in separating the chaff from the wheat, we come to the conclusion that Reform UK is worth talking about. Today, we complete a promise which has been made some time ago to talk to somebody from Kent County Council in the United Kingdom. Kent County Council had a remarkable result where Reform UK won a tremendous victory. Whether you like it or not, they did really well in the polls. I'm going to talk to one of the senior people in that group, somebody who made that possible, and that's Councillor Wimble, who has also got aspirations to make the world better. Who knew it? There are still some politicians who care about that. Before we go into that, though, do please like Unprecedented TV and repost anything that you agree with or disagree with. Also have a conversation with me on X. I'm always happy to have that dialogue. Thanks so much for the recent burst of enthusiasm for our new show, Lib and Let Die, with myself and Mark Oaten. We film all these live, and then you can watch them as live. We do the minimum amount of editing because we don't want to procure what you see. What you see is what you get, and what you see is what was said. Well, let's start by joining in this conversation with a man who's been rather successful in politics, with a phenomenal majority, as far as I can see, and that is Councillor Wimble, who got 3,903 votes, if I'm correct, in the election. Congratulations.
Good morning, Limbit. Yes, apparently it's the largest majority in any council election by one individual. So I'm claiming that anyway. Ever in county council history across the whole of the UK.
I got 2,500 in my final election in Newcastle in South Gosforth ward, but I bow my hat to you because that's a pretty remarkable result. How did you get there, considering the Tories used to be fairly safe in that seat and they've dropped to 900?
It was a very, very safe seat for the Tories. I should point out, I started off as a Conservative 18 years ago on district council. I went independent around 12 years ago. And basically, I'm representing the local people. There's certain things that I think need to be said. And if you're a member of a political party, it's very easy to get whipped. I refuse to be whipped. I stand up for
hold on, you have to explain that. Do you mean literally whipped? Is this some kind of a strange
No,
like
that's another
preference in
party that I
politics.
think you used to be a member of.
I know. Touche. You better explain what whipping
Right,
means
whipping
in a
means
political sense.
if
It's
there
a
is,
family show.
if there's a party line on, for example, in my case, down on Romney Marsh in Folkestone Hive District Council, the Conservatives wanted to bring in parking meters in every high street to pay for parking. Whereas somebody who's got a business that is a retail business on a high street, I pointed out that it would be terrible for shopkeepers. But the Conservative Party said, you have to vote this way. And I said, well, I don't want to vote that way. And basically they said, well, if you refuse to vote this way, we'll remove the whip from you, which means that I'm no longer voting as a Conservative, and basically offered me the opportunity to leave the party and be on my own as an independent. So yes, nothing too exciting by the word whipping, but it's being ordered and forced to vote in a way, whether you like it or not, by a major political party.
Okay, so I mean, you make it sound all very normal, but I know from my own experience as a former Liberal Democrat member of Parliament, it's quite difficult to break with your clan, with your tribe. But once you've done it once, it's a lot easier to do it again.
Well,
Let's
yeah.
start. Go on. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I sort of told them that I was minded to go the other way and vote against this because I was doing it for every shopkeeper in Kent. I did have the whip removed from me, so I was then sat all on my own. There was one Liberal Democrat sat with me and one other independent. But after 6 months, I did manage to overturn this. It's proved so unpopular. And it's basically, I think it's a sorry day when a political party can't actually listen to its members because, you know, they're not always right. We're finding that all the way. The Conservatives here in Kent assumed they had a birthright to be in control of the council. We showed them on the 1st of May that they certainly didn't have that birthright, and that, you know, straightforward common sense isn't a bad thing. You know, it's a bit like when you're trying to explain something. Somebody was dyslexic, or still is dyslexic. I always used to think logically, if I couldn't spell a word, I would write words around the word. My dad always used to joke, why use 10 words when 150 will do? Because that's the way he saw it. But we've come into KCC with some very grounded common sense solutions, which I'm sure if you want to talk about any of them a bit later, like net zero, which is just...
right. I love that subject, yes, but I don't want to turn this into party.
Let's not peak too soon then.
Let's not peak too soon. One of my sparring partners here on Precedented TV is Mark Oaten, a former Lib Dem MP. And I'm going to say this when he's not in the room. I think he's gone all Tory. He would be outraged. Mark, if you're watching this now, you can get your own back the next time we do Lib and Let Die. See what we did there, Councillor. Don't shake your head. I think it's quite clever. Our team came up with that. But the thing is, what I recognise is this conformity which has happened. The assumption, as you said, that in your case, simply assumed they were going to win again. And you absolutely turned it over. Let's talk about the numbers and then we'll get into the politics. What were the numbers, roughly, you might not know exactly, of councillors on Kent County Council? And for those who are watching around the world, that's a very big council in the southeast of England, turning over hundreds of millions, probably over £1 billion a year, actually.
2.2 billion a year.
Okay, so that's about almost $3 billion a year for those in the United States. What were the numbers of councillors before the election and now?
There was 81 seats available. Previously, I think the Conservatives had 72, around 72, and the rest were made up with a Green or two, a couple of Labour and some Liberals. And when we went into the election, we had 77, I think it was. We've now technically got 76 because one of them has chosen to stand down whilst there's some rather unpleasant legal business going on with him and his former partner.
So don't go too far. We don't need to do that.
No, we won't do that. We won't mention any names. But I actually thought it was quite an honourable thing to do. So we've got 76 councillors now. I think Labour have only got 2. The Liberals, actually, your former party, are the opposition, which I don't think they ever believed would ever come to power. I think they've got 16 of them there, and there's 4 Conservatives, something around that order. So we've got a huge majority, but that doesn't make us complacent. Because
the numbers don't completely add up. So how many, I know this is a bit of a pedantic point, but just because this will be watched again in the future, how many seats does Reform UK have on the council?
76.
And the others have 16 and...
no, sorry, 57. So
Yeah, okay,
I was adding up the other totals. It would be nice if we did have 76.
I thought that was wrong, but I didn't want to gainsay you, Councillor, because you're an elected representative. So,
yeah, 57.
57, and then roughly 16 for the Liberal Democrats, and then the Conservatives went from being an overwhelming majority to 3rd place.
I think technically the 4th place.
4th place behind
the Greens, behind Labour. No, behind the Greens and the Liberals, certainly. So yeah, they're about the same as the Conservatives.
Well, anyway, putting it that way, the Conservatives went from hero to zero in one election, one evening.
Yes.
I don't really find human interest stories too interesting in this context, but it must have felt great.
Well, it did at the count. I didn't have my glasses on. I knew I'd done well because they had 2 tubs for me on each table and 1 for each of the other parties. So they obviously worked out when the postal votes came in, it was quite good. And they filled both the tubs up very quickly, replaced them with 2 more tubs.
What do you mean by tubs? What do you mean?
When the votes come in, they empty them all onto the table. And as I was sifting through them, they then put them into tubs before, for each candidate. So I had 4 tubs full, where every other party only had 1 tub for their votes. And the funny thing was, towards the end of the count, the leader of the Green Party, who was also the leader of our district council, came round. Let's just say I've had quite a colourful few exchanges with him, and he saw just 1 little plastic tub there with half a dozen vote cards in it. And he tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Oh, well, never mind, David, you gave it a good go." And I thought, you clearly haven't seen the 4 other tubs full. And so when the announcement was actually made, all I could see was the word elected by my name at the bottom of it. And I put my best poker face on, turned round and walked back towards my partner and the rest of the Reform group there. And I could hear the Labour Party people who really despise me on the district council, which I also sit on, saying, he's lost. When they announce it, really cheer. And when they sort of said that my next competitor was Conservatives, who had just over 900 odd votes. And then they said, David Wimble, Reform UK Party, 3,900. It was rather, I don't put politics above things like the birth of my children or some other things I've done, but I got into politics because I wanted to make a difference. I really wanted to stand up for the area that I've lived in all my life. And it was just one of the best feelings in my life.
Yeah, it was actually, I think it was 3,903. We do our research here at Unprecedented TV. Congratulations. And you remind me of a phrase by Gore Vidal. Every time I see my friends do well, something in me dies. But I'm not really jealous much.
Oh, well, I saw you on the night. We had a party and you was there, and along with a lot of other people. And if I'm totally honest, I think Reform knew that they would shake the tree a bit and get some seats. I honestly don't think they thought they would get the huge majority. I think they thought at best we'd get a very strong opposition. But the reality, once we were elected, we were going to have to find a leader, we're going to have to put a cabinet together, and we're going to have to really work on policy. And a lot of the people that got elected had a very good background in running their own businesses. And, there's very few people that actually served on a council before. So I was sort of at an advantage because I knew how the system worked. And it is a system, whether it's parliamentary that you've experienced or whether it's town councils. There are certain things that you have to live your life by. But that doesn't mean that you can't make changes, which we've already started doing.
You weren't the only person who was there at that party. You're blowing the gaff now. You're sharing secrets out of school. This man, Nigel Farage, was there, and I believe this photograph was actually taken that evening. There were some fireworks, and it was a phenomenal result. The posh man himself flew in by helicopter, as I recall. But
I did as well. The same helicopter.
You did?
The same helicopter that brought him in. That is a local company. He's been ferrying Nigel around all over the place. And he said, "Are you going to the party?" Well, I'd been up a long time by that point. And he said, "Oh, come down to our helipad." And he took myself and my partner and a friend of yours, Liz Kershaw. She came with us. And when we landed, the world's paparazzi were there. They thought, "Nigel's here." And I got out the helicopter like, who the hell's that? But what a way to make an entrance. It's always good fun.
Liz Kershaw, a very good friend of mine. We go back a very long way. She's got a lot to say about migrants because she's got a place by the beach and she watches them come in. And those migrants aren't even counted in the numbers. Remarkable. I don't believe for a moment that we're estimating correctly the number of illegals who are coming across the channel. Anyway, so he was there. Now, you and Nigel presumably was rather chuffed about the result.
He was. I met him as soon as he landed, and he came up and congratulated me. And I said, "What's the plan now?" He said, "We make it up as we go along. we know what we want, but how we get from A to Z, you've got to work your way through it." And he said, "We'll give you all the help we can," which they've been very, very good with their time. The other day I had an issue come up, and there's not many parties where you can pick the phone up and say, "Nigel," and he'll talk to you. But he's obviously got a lot on his plate. He's all over the country. He's an easy target for the other parties. They always say, "Well, you're not really representing Clacton." And he made it very clear when he stood for election that as leader of the party, his job was to unite the whole country. And so he does do a lot of work for Clacton. You never hear about it because that doesn't suit the narrative that Labour and the Conservatives would like to make it. He does make it quite easy for them to poke fun at him. But all the time they're making fun of him, he's making headlines. And the people in the street, I believe, now my partner has never been a member of a political party before, but she runs her own accountancy business. And she says, if we don't make changes now, this country's finished.
Yeah, I'm glad you changed the language you're about to use there. I could see you were heading in a bad direction with the language you're going to use. We all get the sense of it, yeah. Finished is much better.
Yeah. But, she joined the party. And so somebody like that, who's always been fairly non-political, would want to join a political party, makes you think, wow, there really is a problem in the country at the moment. And we're not saying we know all the answers, but what we are saying is common sense needs to come into politics. And that's what we're trying to bring.
Bear with me for 1 minute. We have to have a word from those who we support and admire. You're watching me, Lembitopic, here on Unprecedented.tv. We're talking to Councillor David Wimble from the very successful Reform UK party in Kent, which is a county in the southeast of England, where they completely turned over the Conservatives. And all I can say to you is that's a remarkable result. After the break, I'm going to ask him about the future. To what extent is Reform UK replacing the Conservative? Had they actually done any better, would they have completely destroyed the Conservatives in 2024 in the British general election? And will they do that if they do well in next year's local elections? That's going to be in May 2026. And of course, the big general election in 2029. I'm also going to ask Councillor Wimble if he's thinking of standing for Parliament. They're going to need to find at least 326 members of Parliament in order to form a government and propel Nigel Farage, MP, into Downing Street. Let me say that those people we promote and those organisations we promote here don't necessarily support the views of the station, but they would like to have your custom. So we're going to continue after this.
on a jet plane. Don't know when I'll be back again. Oh babe, I hate to go, but I'm leaving on a jet plane. Da, 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 da.
I flew with them myself recently, actually. I don't expect you to express an opinion. Unless you've flown recently with Austrian Airlines. Have you done that, Councillor?
I didn't fly with Austrian Airlines, but I flew with one of their partners that I think they bought out, which was Lauda Air a few years ago. So
Actually,
very good service.
You're the second person to mention Lauda Air on the station. Nicky Lauda set up that airline. He was a great pilot as well as a great racing driver. Died recently, but he also was a passionate aviator, as am I, by the way. But Austrian Airlines, let me say, I absolutely love them. We don't promote anybody on unprecedented TV unless we believe in them ourselves, even if they offer us money. Now, let's get back to the question of politics. Councillor Wimble, you've got a big challenge here. The party, Reform UK, has endlessly said that it can save money in local government expenditure in rather the same way that Elon Musk was meant to save money in the enormous budget of the federal administration in America. Is this possible? Have you saved any money?
We have. I mean, we've only just got started. We're not even 100 days into the administration yet. But for my own portfolio, which is the economy, which is the environment, the economy is what I wanted to do.
I heard what you said. I heard what you said. You said economy. Is that the one you wanted?
I really did want to be economic development and economy, but I was given the environment purely because I stood on a pledge to try and stop solar farms on greenfield farm sites. My family are all farmers, and I just think it certainly isn't the answer. I'm 100% behind brownfield solar. In fact, I was at a solar farm this morning. I'm also think that buildings should have solar on them. New builds should have solar, but greenfield solar is a big no-no for me. So when I took on my role with the environment, I asked for a copy of all the contracts that affected my department, and somebody came in with 4 ring binders, and I said, no, all I want is the ones that affect my department. They said, no, these are them. I started at the front, and to give you a clue how crazy it is, we were paying £35,000 a year to a railway station in Lille, where the Eurostar goes, to pay for an advertising board that puts the leaflets for Visit Kent there, saying, come and visit our wonderful county, come to Dover Castle, come to Leeds Castle, come to Canterbury Cathedral. Now, the killer on this is, first of all, Eurostar doesn't even stop in Kent at the moment. Secondly, they no one's filled it up since before COVID. So for 5 years, we've been paying £35,000 for an empty signboard and Lille station. So I just said, right, we're not doing that. They then came back and said, okay, we can stop it, but we've got to pay for this year and then pay £10,000 to have it removed. To which I said, I'll tell you what, I'll get my van, I'll drive over to Lille with my socket set and I'll remove it myself. When I said that, they agreed that if we gifted them the sign, that they would cancel it. So that's just one small example.
So it would have taken you maybe 3 hours to do that.
Yeah.
And you saved 10, just your actions, your threatened actions, saved £10,000.
Plus the £35,000 a year that we were paying to have it there in the first place.
Did you actually have to pay the extra year, by the way? Was the contract that bad?
No, they got out of that. But I mean, obviously, I sit on the cabinet, so I have all the portfolio holders with us. There was another thing. I won't go into too much specific detail because it's still a live thing. So we've got something called special educational needs children in Kent who have a right to go to school and have a good education, as everybody should have that right. But this person lives in my town, which is on the coast of Kent. They go to school in a town called Ashford, about 14 miles away, and they get a taxi to school and back every day. The only issue is this taxi comes from Dartford, which is a borough of London, 50 miles away, to pick the boy up, to take him to school. He then goes back to Dartford, comes and picks him up at home time, costs nearly £400 a day to send this boy to school. And you're like,
£2,000 a week for a taxi.
yep.
Hang on, so for 30 weeks a year, let's say, that is £60,000.
And there is many, many other people doing the same thing. So me being me, said, well, why don't we just put him in a local taxi?
Can you give me a taxi license?
Yeah, well, yeah, I did actually say, why don't the council just employ some people, buy some minibuses, and take 4 or 5 of them, drop them off at school, create a job, and save money. But you just couldn't make it up. And every day we're hearing about it. And other things that are coming down to us at the moment, which I'm not sure if you'll want to get into, but the whole migrant situation, where we have under 16 migrants.
Just before we go into that, would it be fair to say that you are the have we got the picture? You are the Elon Musk of Kent County Council? You look similar in a funny kind of way.
Yeah.
If you shaved, you'd look the same.
If I move my ears back a little bit, maybe.
But it does sound to me that you've got the same attitude as Elon Musk. An interesting character in many ways, mercurial to say the least. But he, for his short honeymoon with Donald Trump, still not sure what happened there. Maybe Nigel Farage could tell us, because he's got the inside track on all of them. Maybe you should think of yourself as Elon Musk, because you're trying to cut ridiculous expenditure.
Well, I think it's common sense, and that's the problem. The lunatics took over the asylum years ago. We had it around the time that you was in Parliament. We had all the expenses scandals. I'm not saying you had any expenses.
They criticised me for a TV, which I never got paid for, but they still complained about
things
it.
Like £34,000 for a duck house or something, wasn't it? It was just madness. Some of the things
somebody wrote me a letter complaining, David, that I hadn't claimed enough, and he said, "Remember, Mr. Opic, no man is a duck island," which I thought was quite good. But carry on, yeah.
I was just saying about the migrants. So down in a town called Lydd, which is a town that isn't proud of the fact that it's got a lot of issues and problems. Lots of single parent families, lots of people moved there from London boroughs who own houses down there. But the Home Office decided that they would put a home for under 16 unaccompanied migrants there. They didn't tell us on the district council. They didn't tell the town councils or the parish council. They just did it. So now,
unaccompanied migrants?
Yes. Which, I always ask.
What age are we talking about here?
Under 16s, they're claiming, but many of these have got like full-grown beards and tattoos on their arms. They claim to be under 16. I've got every sympathy for a migrant. When this first started about 9 years ago, I reported on the first dinghy that rocked up on Dymchurch Beach. And at the time, I made a comment in the newspaper that I own that within a few years, we could have up to 1,000 people a year coming over the channel. Well, we've had that in the last 2 days.
1,000 people a year. That's what you're worried about.
That's what I said. And I was pillared by the editors of 2 of the other local newspapers. And there goes Wimble, fantasising again. We would dream of 1,000 migrants a year at the moment, I think. But the Home Office haven't asked us. They've taken over most of the hotels in our area. And it's just not the answer. Today we heard that Keir Starmer has given away another £100 million to the French government to smash the gangs. That's something he promised he'd do within 12 months. And he certainly hasn't smashed the gangs. And there's only one way you will stop it, and that's taking away all the benefits that people will get if they come here. And if you came out the ECR, we could just send them straight back to where they came from.
ECR is?
It's European Court of Human Rights.
Okay, ECHR, yeah. You missed the H out there. Okay, let me just ask you this question. I'm going to play a clip now. If we can get the clip of Keir Starmer lined up, I'll just give him a minute to do this. Keir Starmer made a heady promise a long time ago now but he said he would sort this out. One of his election promises, one of his early prime ministerial promises was about this. Yes, we've got the clip. Can we play that? Can we play it?
Today we publish a white paper on immigration, a strategy absolutely central to my plan for change that will finally take back control of our borders and close the book on a squalid chapter for our politics, our economy and our country. Take back control. Everyone knows that slogan, and everyone knows what it meant on immigration, or at least that's what people thought. Because what followed from the previous government, starting with the people who used that slogan, was the complete opposite. Between 2019 and 2023, even as they were going round our country, telling people with a straight face that they would get immigration down, net migration quadrupled until in 2023 it reached nearly 1 million. That's about the population of Birmingham, our second largest city. That's not control, it's chaos. And look, they must answer for themselves. But I don't think that you can do something like that by accident. It was a choice made even as they told you, told the country, they were doing the opposite. A one-nation experiment in open borders, conducted on a country that voted for control. Well, no more. Today, this Labour government is shutting down the lab. The experiment is over. We will deliver what you've asked for time and again, and we will take back control of our borders.
Now, do you think he did it? Did he do that?
Totally failed.
Isn't it embarrassing? That is, in his own words, undoctored, unedited, David. He could have been talking about the failures of the Labour Party. It's unbelievable. Sorry, David, I'm doing your job for you.
No, I mean, it almost leaves me speechless to actually come up with words to describe it. I mean, this has proven to be the most unpopular government in, certainly, I'm nearly 60. It takes me back to the early 70s, 3-day weeks. We got bin strikes and things like that just don't get rectified. Unfortunately for Labour, the unions are their paymasters. And when they came into power, they made a few very flash commitments to giving doctors a huge pay rise and the train drivers. Of course, the unions want that for everybody now. And coming out with sound bites like, you voted for us because we said we would crush the gangs and stop all this. That's a big, brave comment to make when you've got no idea how you're going to stop it. And as I mentioned earlier, although we came out of the EU, we're still governed by the European Court of Human Rights, which makes it very hard for us to do what Australia famously did, and that is to just close our borders. You need to be able to know who is coming into your country. You do hear a lot of threats about these people coming over of fighting age. I don't want to get into a religious rant or anything like that. Everybody in this world has got a right to a good life. But these migrants, as you can see there on the screen at the moment, they're coming over here. They come here because they know it's an easy win for them. All the time that you've got somebody like Keir Starmer, the Labour Party, opening the door and welcoming them almost. I've got a daughter who's in her early 20s, would love to have a council house. How do you think British people, she works very hard. She runs a business herself. She pays tax. She can't get a council house because they're all being given to these visitors to us. Now, I got pulled up on this the other day and said, well, what about Ukrainians? Well, the Ukrainians were here for a totally different reason. We welcome them here in the knowledge that when it's safe for them to have gone home, they will want to be the first ones to go back to their family and their beloved countries. It's just not the answer. And the only way we can do that is to close the borders. And the only political party that will actually do that is Reform. I mean, give the Conservative Party some due. They came up with the Rwanda policy, which, you know, it wasn't ideal at all. But before anyone had actually gone out there, I think one person or two people volunteered to go out there. But that would have been at least a deterrent. If you came here, you're going to probably be processed and go out to Rwanda. There's been people talk for months and months now about you could send them to Ascension Island because that's part of Britain and deal with them over there. But if they knew they weren't going to get an easy ride, they wouldn't come here. Now, I'd also like to quickly point out, though, we're not anti-migration at all. We've got over 112 embassies around the world. If you want to come to our country, get a visa and come here legitimately. And people say, well, what if people can't get a visa? Well, there's only a couple of reasons why they can't. They've either got a criminal record or bad financial history, or, you know, they are an undesirable, in which case, why would we want them here? We do welcome nurses, doctors, solicitors, lawyers. It's a bit like after the Second World War, wasn't it, where we welcome people from the Commonwealth here because to do some of the jobs that the people we lost in the war, to help build our country back again. But we need to be the ones inviting them and saying who can come in.
So that's a powerful argument. And I have to say I'm sympathetic. My parents were from migrant stock, both of them from Estonia. But I was taught to embrace the culture of the country that embraced them.
Yeah.
And my understanding of Reform, I'm going to sound partisan now, but this is my opinion and viewers can respond and agree or disagree. My feeling is the same about Reform UK. Reform UK isn't inherently racist. It will embrace anybody who embraces Reform's values, and Reform's values are traditional British values. Am I wrong about that?
No, we're fundamentally a Christian nation. If you come here, you respect our religions, you respect our way of life, and you speak our language, and you work. And you pay your taxes. I've never had a problem paying taxes. I've always paid quite a high rate of taxes, but I want to see a return on those taxes, not to be used to pay for conversions of holiday parks and RAF bases and hotels into holding facilities for these people. You know, if you want to come to this country, then we all know about the Geneva Convention that states you should stop and claim asylum in the first safe haven. We got people coming here from Vietnam now. Are you trying to tell me that we don't have any safe countries between Vietnam and here? It's just we are the sympathy shop of the world. Go to Britain because you get looked after there. Why don't they stop in France? Why don't they stop in, Germany?
Because the French don't stop them. I mean, you can see in the videos
they help
that the
them
French police stand there and they just take pictures and they let them come across.
Yeah, I don't know what the answer is other than shutting our borders and only allowing people to come in that have done so using the correct procedures. I mean, I will just pick up on one thing very quickly. I know you're probably short on time. A lot of people wonder how these people get to Calais. And I've been doing lots of research on this. We're the British Hauliers Association. And there's gangs all over Europe of lorry drivers, Bulgarians, Italians, Spanish, who are literally taking these migrants in the back of their lorries for about €1,000 each, putting 10 of them in the back of a lorry, driving them across Europe, and then letting them out the lorries about 15 miles from Calais. Now, currently, because of there's no borders across the EU, which was part of the, free movement of people across the EU, but if you wanted to spend that £100 million we've just given France better, set up roadblocks, stop lorries, open the back, see if there's migrants in there. If there are, find the lorry drivers, put them in prison, because they're as bad as the people traffickers who are doing it in the first place.
I would take a simpler view. Anybody with modern drone technology, let's remember, Keir Starmer thinks we can defend the whole of the Ukrainian border. Why can't we defend a 20-mile channel?
Yeah.
So we could have a system where anybody who's getting across gets towed back to France and the dinghies are slashed.
Yeah.
If they arrive on the border, surely we can afford enough people to guard that. We put them on a boat or on a train, and we take them back to France. Or we'll do them a special favour and take them back to where they started. Now, I think that Nigel Farage recently made that point. He was quite clear that if you come here illegally, you start your life in Britain by breaking the law. If no ifs, no buts, whatever your justification, you'll never get asylum. You'll never get the right to live here. And I thought that was quite persuasive, David.
Yeah, I think it's, you've got to draw a line in this now. I mean, we've got legal migration and we've got the illegal migration. The illegal, the boat people, as people like to call them, is actually a very small part of migration problems. But you need to know who is coming into your country, because, you know, there is, I don't want to be, I got accused on another radio station the other day of being racist. And I just said, I don't want to be the one in 12 months' time that says, you know, I tried to warn you if there was a 9/11 style attack in the UK. We don't know who these people are. Lots of the black economy is like, you know, the cash economy where all these hairdressers are popping up and these vape shops and things like that. Lots of them are proven to be people that are here that haven't
So
actually.
what do you mean by rape shops? What do you mean by rape shops?
Vape shops.
RAPE?
No, vape.
Oh, vape. Sorry, I just thought you were. Sorry, I thought you were opening a whole new chapter.
No, I'm going to leave that to Nigel. I will say,
VAPE, vape shops. Yeah, I got that. Yeah.
The proven trading standards are shutting these shops down or removing all the illegal tobaccos that are being smuggled in, the money laundering, and 6 hours later, they're at work again. And a lot of the people running these shops are the people that have come over here. I just really worry about where our country's going and our Christian values.
And so the final big question, the question of the entire programme, in a sense, I'm saying that the Conservatives are in a lot of trouble, and that Kemi Badenoch actually went to canvass in a by-election in Bromley, somewhere which is a part of London. And despite the leader of the Conservatives turning up at that by-election, Reform UK still won their first election. There have been a lot of defections recently, but they actually won with a chap called Alan Cook. Now, I'm asking this fundamental question, putting all that together, all the things that you said, is it the death knell for the Conservatives? Will the Reform UK movement kill the cons?
I honestly think that Reform UK is the real Conservative Party. We're capitalists. You know, I believe that making money isn't a bad thing, because if you're making money, you're employing people, you're empowering people. So even if you take away the defections, I think that Reform UK is the real capitalist, conservative-looking party, but wants to do it with a fresh outlook, get rid of the rubbish politics that we've heard for so long. I know that sounds like a very simplistic thing of saying, but politics is about doing the right thing. It's about learning from your mistakes, and the Conservatives just don't learn from their mistakes. I'm sure Kemi Badenoch is a lovely woman who's trying to do things for the right thing, but the party is lost. I honestly do think it's finished.
Well, thank you very much indeed. We'll find out if you're right or wrong soon enough. You're an optimist about the future or a pessimist? David?
I'm always, like Nigel, my glass is always half full.
And, well, I can say many things about that, but that's fine. And are you enjoying being a councillor?
I'm absolutely loving it. I mean, it's a pretty much full-time job. I'm doing about 60 hours a week at the moment, going around. All the other politicians seem to be on their summer breaks, but we are working so hard to, if we can prove at Kent that we can make a real difference when the next general election comes along, I certainly would love to stand to represent Folkestone Hive where I live. And I think you will see just as big an election victory as Labour had last time, which was, I think, a protest vote against the same old, same old.
Are you hoping to stand for Parliament then?
Oh, 100%. It'll be the pinnacle of, 18 and a half years in local politics. I only got involved because I wanted to make a difference. And the best way to make a difference is to be at the table when the decisions are being made.
I admire your ambition. Thank you, Councillor David Wimble. That is Councillor David Wimble. You've heard it first from him. The most interesting thing about what he said is that he believes in what he's doing. And that matters to the country, I think. Have your say. Go to X, that's at Lembitopic, and you can say what you think. Also, we're live on other outlets as well. We filmed this live, and you can view it as live in our archive, including on YouTube. If you've got views about shows that you'd like to see, or program ideas that you have, then do let us know. Just get in touch on any of the channels that you can find. Also, we are very happy to interview you if you've got something that you'd like to share. In the meantime, I hope you enjoyed that program. Big thanks to Councillor David Wimble from Reform UK. We'll interview anyone from any station from any party, and we'll do that in any way that you'd like us to do, whether you want to have a monologue, a dialogue, a debate, because this is about free speech. I'm Lembitopic. Big thanks to the team today here on Lembitopic Live. This is unprecedented.tv. And if you'd like to advertise, just get in touch as well. Have a very good day and let me know what you think. Have a good day.
This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you?
Boring. 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 Boring.
You got it work. Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that. Remember this. You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
I call again for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, the return of the sausages, the hostages,